Yeah, what do you do? So it's fine, no problem. Yeah, thank you so much. Hope they will make this. No. Everything went well. Yeah, they sent the data to me already. 500. Oh, okay. The data, okay, they send data to you, right? No, it was card, but I've not commanded the get of this app. Okay. Hope like that, Papa, I would have seen my internet. But no, it was not. If I even have to pay 100%. Okay. I didn't want to like. So do you have another section now? There's not another section now. Okay, what's the section? African chemical movie. Okay, fine. Well, hi, action. Good morning. Starting in the section. Yeah, after
Hello, David. I think I'm early. I don't know if you can join me. You can hear me.
Hi, hope I can hear you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, great. So the session is going to start in 4 minutes. So we are waiting for people to come to join the room. I think they'll find it difficult because
Okay.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Hi, David.
I don't think we've met Jonathan, have we?
No, no.
No. Well, nice to meet you, even though it's virtually.
Yeah, likewise. I hope you don't mind.
No, go ahead. It's lunchtime, isn't it? Or it was.
I just got off a film set, literally. I didn't think I'd be able to make it today.
Really? What are you shooting?
We were shooting the Nelson Mandela Bridge for Leadvance. It's a German lighting company that makes the multicolored lighting for the bridge.
All right.
Mm.
Okay.
The agency was based in London, but the crew was local.
Right, right. Oh, so you're in Johannesburg.
Yes, I am. I'm in Woodmead.
Oh, okay. Have you ever come across my son, Pilani Brown?
No.
You don't know Pilani? He's a quite a busy cinematographer in Joburg.
Okay.
I should connect you guys.
That would be nice. Especially since I'm freelancing now.
Ooh. He's just he's about to do a project for Multi-Choice, but he shot what's the last thing he shot? He shot a feature for ETV or EVOD called Family and Rugby, which was quite. So he's been doing all of that kind of stuff, all these sort of multi-choice features, you know, those low budget features and all of that.
Usually it's meant for Showmax, the streaming platform.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they go to Showmax, I suppose, and to what is it? Mzansi Magic and all of those kinds. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And what are you normally working on? Oh, there's Alessandro.
I don't see him.
Hi.
No, it's not me. I don't know how I got that name,
Oh,
David.
there's two Alessandros, right? Alessandro and
Yeah.
Alessandro.
Let me try changing it. I don't know how it got there. Wow.
Okay.
How are you? Oh, but
Good.
there are three Alessandro. What's going on here? Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, will the real Alessandro stand up?
I'm here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. We missed the Nigerian side for now. I hope they will join.
Hey.
Some people in the room.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the presenters. I think we're having people join us soon, so we can give about 5 minute allowance for people to join us. They can start by 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know who is speaking. We can't hear very well in the room.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now it's better. Thanks.
Yeah.
I can hear, but the sound is not so great from Nigeria there. It's choppy on my end.
All right, Stanley is connecting as well. That's great.
In progress.
All right. We still miss Inka Ogun and Joy Elumelu. I don't know if they are in the room in Lagos. I don't think so. Stanley, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just trying to set up my camera, please.
Okay, wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Nice to be in the room with you guys. I think
Thanks for being here.
and
Can you hear me, Alessandro? I don't know why I'm
Yes,
appearing with your name.
I don't know. There is some weird thing that happened with the internet. I guess that probably because I shared
The link.
Zoom link with you, which was maybe a one
Mm.
person
Okay.
link, right? Stanley's there is great. I don't know what to do with Joy and Inca. I told them that we had moved the thing online. I didn't hear from them though.
maybe we need to send Joy some joy. Yeah.
Hello. Is the other person appearing with Alessandro Yudlowski, is that
This is
Inca by any chance?
Bongani.
Inca?
This is Bongani.
It's Bongani. Okay, sorry.
Mm.
And okay, so we have a large South African delegation is great. And
Yes.
I guess that since, we want to take the best of our time, so we might then start in maybe
Just start.
2 minutes um, by 50 we start, and then if Joy and Inca join us, it's for the better. Otherwise, we'll continue the discussion among ourselves. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Sounds
we need
good.
to keep it.
Wonderful. Let's just okay. In the room in Lagos, could you tell me if by any chance Inca, Ogun, or Joy Elumelo are there with you?
Hi, good afternoon. They're not yet. They're not here yet.
They are not there, right? Okay.
Yes.
Well, as I was saying, I think we will start anyway because we want to use the time at our disposal, and then if they join there in Lagos or online, then we will integrate them in the discussion. All right. So I think Oswald, we had planned that you would start, right?
Yes.
So
If
please,
we are ready, I can get us going.
definitely, I think we can start.
I don't know if we have an online audience. Are you able to tell
We
Alessandro?
can
I
see
can't see that.
here. Yes, we have some people online.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
to attend.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. You can go, Oswald.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's afternoon here. It's 10 minutes to 2. But I know that we are on different time zones with colleagues that are joining us from Nigeria. Welcome to this roundtable discussion. I don't know if it's such a round table, seeing we are doing it virtually, but this is a discussion on AI in African film industries, and we are using Nigeria and South Africa as a comparison. So, just a rundown of what the panel is about is that it explores the transformative impact of artificial intelligence on the film industries of Nigeria and South Africa, two of Africa's leading cinematic powerhouses. The integration of AI technologies in filmmaking processes, I'm sure you will agree with me that it has introduced significant advancements and challenges reshaping the landscape of African cinema as it is elsewhere. On the positive side, AI has enhanced production efficiency and creativity. These technological advancements have democratized filmmaking, allowing emerging filmmakers to get access to sophisticated tools that were previously reserved for high budget productions. However, the adoption of AI in African cinema is not without drawbacks. The reliance on AI technologies raises concerns about job displacement. I know that's a very hot topic, particularly for traditional roles in the film industry. In both Nigeria and South Africa, there is a growing apprehension that AI could exacerbate existing inequalities, marginalizing those without access to advanced technological training. And additionally, the ethical implications of AI in content creation, such as deepfakes and automated storytelling, pose significant challenges to the authenticity and cultural integrity of African narratives. So our roundtable aims to provide a balanced analysis of AI's impact on Nigerian and South African cinema by questioning the point of view of industry professionals from both countries, and discussing the need for policies that foster innovation while safeguarding the cultural and economic interests of local film industries. So the panel will run for an hour of discussion, of continuous discussion, moderated by myself, Oswald Ureke from the University of Johannesburg, and my colleague Alessandro, who will introduce himself when he gets the microphone. And then after that 1 hour of discussion, we will then open it up to audiences that are attending physically and those that are online. So by way of quick introduction of the panelists we have today, who will also have an opportunity to introduce themselves in detail when they go into the discussion. I would like to introduce, maybe you can just raise your hand when I introduce you, since a lot of us are Alessandros on the screen. So there's Jonathan Brady, who is a videographer and editor from South Africa. Jonathan, very good to have you.
Thank you so much.
David Max Brown, who is a filmmaker and film school lecturer at the AFDA Film School here in South Africa as well. Good to have you, David. And we also have Bongani Mncube, who is a filmmaker and actor and a master's student at the University of Johannesburg. Good to have you, Bongani. And last but not least, on the South African contingent is Karen Slater, who's a film producer and director, and is the chairperson of the Documentary Filmmakers Association. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you very much.
Then from Nigeria, I'm not sure who is in the room and who isn't, but we have Joy Elumelu, who's a screenwriter, actor, producer, and content developer. Is Joy around?
I'm afraid she's not yet there, but
Okay.
hopefully she will join.
We hope she will join as we go. And we also have Yinka Ogun, screenwriter, storyteller, and TV show creator, who is also head of the Screenwriters Guild of Nigeria. Yinka?
Same for Joy, I guess.
Okay.
Not yet there.
And we have Stanley Oyukware, I hope I have pronounced it right.
Yeah, right here.
Who's a filmmaker, cinematographer, and producer from Nigeria. So the last three that I've read out are the Nigerian contingent, and it's very nice to have you colleagues. So to get the ball rolling, I will put the first question through Alessandro. Then you will introduce yourself when you put the next question. So my first question is directed to all of you. You can just take a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, to respond to the question. But before you respond, please just introduce yourself for the benefit of our audience. You can do so in detail. I want to understand your perception of the impact of artificial intelligence in your country. So specifically in Nigeria and in South Africa. And maybe if you can relate this impact to the specific role that you occupy in filmmaking in your country. So I think I will start with Stanley.
Okay, to set the ball rolling. So my name is Stanley Hikwari. I'm a filmmaker, trained fine artist, animator, filmmaker. I'm someone who has always moved with the trends while holding on to traditional art, but not being oblivious to the fact that things are evolving and I can't afford to be left behind. I always have at the back of my mind back in the day when the computers came along and some people insisted on using typewriters. And I'm sure those people, they're out of the space as we speak now because they've never evolved. So talking about AI is just another point in the time frame of creativity where a necessary evolution is upon us. We can't run. Personally, I'm not, and I'll say it anyway, I'm not exactly excited about AI. I wasn't from the first time I saw AI popping up. I made a prediction, which has proven to be true, that AI is going to kind of water down the entire creative industry. And then I was following a couple of guys who were illustrators and cartoonists, and people used to do stuff on the Wacom tablet, and they had very good following on YouTube and all. And they started sensing and expressing those sentiments that this might happen. And a lot of people will live in denial to say it won't happen. AI will never take over. But come on, I have to tell everybody here, it's inevitable because what AI is a system that has a collective knowledge as humanity in one place, domiciled in one place. So imagine everything, and let's not even talk about the whole world. If just those of us in this room, 13 of us, pour our collective knowledge into one reservoir, there's no way any one of us will be able to challenge the level of expertise and dexterity that will come out of that collective pool. And that's what AI is. However, it's still a tool. And we have to find a way to be the ones who become the puppeteers of the tool rather than become the puppets. In Nigeria, Nigeria is a country that is very heavy on social media and skits and all of that. And with AI, the people who have shown interest in AI have actually approached AI from that standpoint already, using it to create funny content and all of that. But what I see is that the danger in that is the rest of the world is actively involved in shaping what this tool would be, the capabilities, the strength of the tool, and what we'll be able to achieve with them. And in Nigeria, most people are approaching it from a consumer point of view, where they're just consuming it and having fun with it. But they will not become strong voices when it comes to the things that have to do with AI in the near future. And so my standpoint is AI should be embraced, whether you like it or not. I'm not exactly a lover of AI, but I must evolve. So I'm evolving and I have evolved. And I'm going to show a trailer for a movie I just completed using AI. And that's me I've been telling people, don't play with the AI. Use it to do content. Use it to make movies if that's what it's going to be meant for. Because wherever you apply it to right now is what the long term is going to be. And so I feel like AI right now, the capabilities in Nigeria, people have not really, they play around with it. There are restrictions to how much you can do in Nigeria. I shuffle between Nigeria and the UK. When I'm in the UK, I have no hindrance to anything. I can access all the tools. Once they become available, they're available in the UK, so I can use them. Like Google View 3 came out. It was first only in the US and then the UK. I don't think it's accessible in Nigeria except to use some VPN and all of that. And so that still keeps everybody in the space where they're just hobbies playing around with it, not doing something serious with it. Now, going online, you have 1,000 or 1,000,000 people making tutorials about how to use the software, but still not making any tangible thing with it. They're just showing you how to use it. And so, again, it's where the African continent has to go away from just playing around and actually being productive with the tool. And most times I say I don't practice what I don't preach what I don't practice. So when I say let's use this for serious stuff, I've done stuff to show people let's use this for serious stuff. What AI is going to do in the short term, in the immediate impact right now. So there are complaints about character consistency, there are complaints about scene consistency, there are complaints about little things, nuances here and there. But what I found out with AI, immersing myself with the tools in the past couple of months is I've not focused on the one everybody is focusing on. I've looked for a generic AI that I looked at the back end. I realized I can tweak this tool to become like a 3D animation software for me. So bringing my understanding and my experience as a 3D animator, I've actually created a template that can give me consistent characters, consistent scenes. I can determine my character space. I've created HDRI images where the camera can pan around and it's exactly what I put there that you're going to see when the camera pans around. So that's the way we should be engaging the tool while also making content that we put out there to let the rest of the world know that we're not just sleeping on this. Immediate impact of AI on the film industry. Number one, you do not need to spend all the time, money, and hire a heavy man in heavy crew to do visual effects anymore. I tried that out and I still tried it yesterday. It's very simple. Explosions, everything, as long as you can imagine it and you know how to tell. And that's where the prompting comes in. So prompting is all about skillful storytelling. The computer is not human, but the more fluent the language is in what you're trying to express, it knows what to do. So VFX artists should be very worried. Makeup artists should be very worried. Special effect artists should be very worried because in the movie I made, I created a character and then the character had to be young and old, from a baby to a teenager to a mid-30s person to a 60. And with simple prompts that I now documented and I had the same character, keeping the same features, and you can tell that the same character from when the character was young to when the character was old. Back in the day, that require a makeup artist, that require a costumier, that require a VFX artist, that require a special effect artist. But right now, on my computer, just prompting, all of that can happen. So
Stanley?
VFX, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting and great. Just let circulate the word and then we collect more points from you.
Let me just summarize. Let me just summarize by saying, in
Thanks.
Nigeria right now, because some of these tools are not readily available, people just have trial editions to play around with, and that's when they have it. But because they are still restricted to certain parts of the world, even those who are really serious about wanting to explore these tools cannot explore it the way they would like to. But my admonition is once they are able to do something serious with it, don't play around with it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Stanley. A lot of interesting stuff there. And if you have a link of the trailer that you made reference to, I hope we'll be able to paste it in the chats. So let me hand the mic over now to Jonathan. Please just keep it succinct, maybe 3 minutes, so that we all get a chance to go through this question. I can't hear you, Jonathan. I can't hear you. Now you are muted. Can you speak?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Now it
Yes.
works. Great.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Is
Yeah,
that okay?
it works.
So the question is the impact of AI in the film space.
Yes.
So I'm going to speak purely from a post-production perspective because I've spent a lot of time editing, well, behind the editing desk as well as shooting. It's a double-edged sword when you're looking at the impacts of how AI has infiltrated the editing workspace. There are tons of plugins now that you can use, especially in the Adobe suite like Premiere Pro and After Effects. It does speed up the workflow, but then at the same time, if you're working with a client and that client, dabbles into a bit of editing themselves and they see some of these plugins and they're like, oh, we can just do it ourselves. So yes, the impact on the availability of jobs and the availability to do work for people is shrunk since AI has become more prominent in the space. And in fact, I think where was I? I was watching television at my girlfriend's house, and I literally saw what was probably like 90% of that advert you could tell was made with generated AI video. And I can only imagine what that does to actual film crews that canvas for this type of work, you know. They say that the zenith of production is the advertising space in television and full feature productions of feature films and documentaries. So it does shrink a lot of availability for work in the space, I would say. That I've seen that firsthand. I've done videos that cover any and almost all genres, from music videos to short films to documentaries to events to internal corporate communications. And even now, I've just actually come back from set. We were shooting something for the lighting company that does the lights for Nelson Mandela Bridge. And one of the guys on set was saying it's become really quiet. And I thought to my inside my head, I was like nodding and saying, yeah, I wonder why. Um, so yeah, the impact is pretty much direct as far as I can tell, as a working professional in the space, as someone at the coalface in this industry, and it's a bit jarring, actually. It's quite jarring. Examples of some of the tools, I can give examples. There's something called Autopod that you can plug into Premiere Pro. It'll cut up your clips for you. It'll even distinguish when there's dead space in an edit to make the cut. If someone's umming and eyeing or takes a breath, it cuts all that straight out. It's fantastic. But at the same time, it now democratizes the space, and it sort of takes the power and the skill offering that we used to pride ourselves on. It takes all of that away. So yeah.
Okay. No, thanks for that, Jonathan. Karen, you want to go next?
Thank you, Prof. Yeah, I'm Karen Slater. I'm a documentary cinematographer, director, and producer. Been in the documentary space for a long time. I'm no longer on the chairperson of the Documentary Filmmakers Association. I finished my term there last year, but I do sit on the board of the Academy, and I'm a judge on the Oscars in the documentary branch. So for me, AI, my perceptions of it is in the field I work in is we rely on authenticity, and for us, it's quite like as a documentarian, like we've always felt, okay, we're going to be okay in this AI thing. But I'm beginning to wonder, like, how long is it going to be before you can't tell the difference? And then it makes me question, well, what is an image going to be like going forward from here? Is it going to have the same power as it's had up until this point? And those are the questions we need to ask ourselves, I think. And when we ask AI things, we have to always remember that it's kind of taking from all over the place, and it comes from a very sexist, very racist, broad base thing. So I think as Africans, we have to create our own data sets, and how we're going to do it, I don't know. But I quite like the Maori way of dealing with it in New Zealand, where they've embraced AI, but they've kept it to themselves. So if you want to get any knowledge from that, from about Maori culture, you have to pay for it. It's not freely available to everybody. And so I think there's something we can learn from that, especially when it comes to tradition. I mean, I work a lot in cultural spaces across Africa, and some of those ceremonies and things, I don't know how useful they are to be spread everywhere, And in the old days in documentaries, I was working when we were sticking films together, cutting it, sticking it together. So I come from a lot of changes, and I'm always curious about changes, and our industry's always been changing. So this is another change. I think it's exponential how fast it's changing. But it's like, how are we going to, yeah, embrace it, use it, and make sure that we monetize it in a way. As Africans, I think in a way we have to use that we're not on the internet. I mean, not in the internet, which is the base obviously of AI and all the knowledge, that we're not there that much. How are we going to use that as a useful tool? Like, how are we going to make that special, you know? So I think we have to think of that as maybe we're lucky that we're not involved in all of that. But we have to remember it's the colonialists' eyes that most of the stuff is made from. So we have to be careful.
Okay, thanks very much,
Anyway.
Karen. I like the fact that you have been involved from the time of analog and you've gone through the ages, so to say. And I see Joy has just joined us. As you settle, Joy, we are talking about the impact of AI in your filmmaking space, specifically in Nigeria, but as it relates to the role that you occupy in film production. So while you think about it, I think I will give the mic now to Bongani, who is a fresh-faced filmmaker, direct opposite to Karin. What do you think?
Yeah, no, the juxtapositioning is too much. Karen is all seasoned and I'm an entry level, which makes this conversation quite exciting. Hi, everyone. My name is Bongani Mncube. I'm mainly specializing in short films. I'm an actor, I'm a TV presenter. Well, it's a powerful question that is asked or presented unto us because listening to the colleagues, I had a different stance when we started this conversation, but listening to the previous colleagues speak from Stanley, I'm getting all those different perspectives from different levels, from post-production and where I stand now is like it's on the meaning now. AI from a pre-production perspective, it has become a useful tool for us as short story filmmakers, given that usually the crew is already small. So it kind of gives us that you are able to kind of utilize, let's say, an AI tool for storyboarding, and you are able to communicate effectively with your small crew. So these are the roles that usually on a big set are filled by this huge crew. You are able now to specifically feed information prompt your ChatGPTs and so forth to say this is what we have in mind. So it kind of now enhances your imagination in a sense. So it has been good in that perspective from a short storytelling film perspective. But however, usually when you prompt it, it does not give you that depth, the cultural richness of the story. So you still always need to go follow it like a child. You know, you're nursing it right behind, trying to understand, does it really understand the context where I'm at? As a person who's from South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal, this is the cultural depth that I'm trying to express. So it never really reaches the heart. It doesn't have that human instinct, I would say. So it makes it more, that becomes its shortfall, but at the same time, it kind of helps those short filmmakers to be able to complete certain tasks that they wouldn't have managed with their small crew.
Yeah, no, thanks for that dimension. Let me give over to David. Then Joy, are you able to show yourself so that we can see you as David takes the microphone? Because after David, then Joy, you can come in, and then Alessandro ask the next question.
Yeah, I think, wow, what a quite a lot of information already from everyone. But I think, you know, what I think comes out is that, you know, after a while, it tends to drive us back towards, you know, our humanity, because, you know, like has been said, whatever's in AI, in these large language models, has already been said and done. And obviously, the creativity is what comes from us. But also because there's so much, you know, I saw an article recently that was criticizing the fact that so many films on, you know, Netflix and in cinemas and in the Western kind of world, mostly, I suppose, are just all starting to look the same. And they're starting to look the same because they follow the hero's journey. They follow all these kind of prescriptions, you know, and AI is going to be giving us that same prescription. just like Karen was saying, it's going to give us racist views, it's going to give us biased views, it's going to, omit the marginalized stories, the stories from Africa, the stories that have been told for years, oral histories that are just not logged. And maybe, as you say, Karen, for good reason, right? Let them stay out of this, the clutches of the people who are going to own it. You almost feel because this is all getting concentrated in one place that belongs to the person or the company that's going to be able to buy it all at the end of the day. And who does it all belong to? I think in terms of my approach, I mean, we've been finding, like, because I sort of wear two hats, one as a filmmaker and one as an educator. And as a filmmaker, definitely we've been finding, the project I'm working on now is an animation series, and we're finding that AI is really useful, and we're using whatever tools we can to generate our images and create our pitch and so on. But I think as an educator, what we're finding is, and interestingly as well, I thought it was fascinating coming back to this idea of where is the human in all of this. It almost forces you to find the human in your student in front of you, because it's very easy for them now to go, okay, I need to pitch to David about something. I'll go and ask AI, and it'll do it for me, and I'll go onto Gamma or whatever the tool is, and boom, it's done. And then we have to say to them, but hang on a minute. What does this mean to you? Where's your positionality in all of this? Why are you even interested in this research? And I find myself engaging with the student as more of a human being, and they engage with me as more of one, and we kind of get to know each other better. And I'm actually loving that. It's something we realized we didn't do like last year or the year before, was spend this much time with our students trying to discover who they really are and why they really want to do something. I think maybe that'll come back more, and we can talk about that later in other aspects. Specifically, I've got some things to say about screenwriting structure and all of those kinds of things. But yeah, I think that's probably what I want to say for now.
Okay, thanks for that discipline, David. You are going to definitely have another bite of the cherry where you can give us more detail. So Joy, are you ready? Can you jump into the conversation now before I hand over to my colleague Alessandro?
It's probably Inca then. Hello.
Oh,
Sorry, you're muted.
so this is Yinka.
Yeah,
Yes, please go ahead.
good afternoon. So sorry, there was a bit of a mix-up. So Joy sends me a link that I have to open immediately. And apparently it's a link, and I put it there and I see Joy, and I'm looking for me. I'm like, I'm not here. So I didn't know it was a link. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Nice to be here. So I came in late. I don't really know what you're talking about, but I guess it's about the AI experience so far with everybody, right? So
Exactly, yes.
for me, as a consummate as a writer, because I'm primarily a writer before any other thing. Before I started using AI, I was threatened by the idea of AI. Then I started to use AI, and I realized that it's just an ally. It's really not something to be threatened about. It will help you do stuff faster. It will it will help you organize the process. And if you really instinctively an organized person and you know what you want, it will help you. But it can't replace you, or rather, there's just an extent to which it can replace you. Because there are some nuances it will just never understand. Those extra things, it will give you generic. You will get a lot of generic stuff. But those extra things that have made you stand out as a writer, your ability to manipulate conversations, pick up on words, you understand, and weave, a really exciting tapestry, something that people listen to and just enjoy. That will not, I don't see that happening in a very long time. But is it useful? It is useful. And I teach. And I tell people that if you can get help, get help. And AI is really good help if you know how to apply it. And you know, like I said, I speak from the point of view of a writer. So I think that I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but for me, I've had a very good experience with AI, and I know that AI can be very supportive, but I do not feel I don't feel threatened by it. But I do encourage people to use it because yes, it helps you. It helps you organize. You know, it's just like in architecture. Okay, so I studied architecture. I'm technically an architect. It's like getting someone. It's like using. It used to be CAD then, CAD, to draw the plan, the basic plan of the house. But every other thing involved, you understand the positioning of things, what kind of windows you have, doors, and all that. It will still be you. So generally, that's been my experience. I think it's an ally, and I don't feel threatened by it. I hope I've just not been saying rubbish all along. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. So I jump in then. Thanks everyone for this first round of answers. And now maybe moving a little bit away from your personal experience, we would like to ask you what is your perspective on the specificities of the impact of AI in your own industry? So in South Africa and Nigeria, are there specificities of the way in which AI has been adopted? And on both the so-called, let's say, negative and positive aspects. So are there specific professions in your field in South Africa and Nigeria that are being more affected than others? And on the other side, are creative aspects that are sort of enjoying it better than others? Like we have talked a little bit about animation, script writing, visual effects. So just to understand if there are sort of contextual specificities to it that can help us understand how AI is playing out its impact across the continent. We might maybe follow the same order if you agree. So I will give the floor to Stanley to start with.
Okay, so I'll try and keep it very simple this time. So in Nigeria, for instance, actors will survive in the long term. Because movies that make it in Nigeria are driven by the fan base of the actors, who most times are the producers or directors. People like Funke Akindele, Yabo Joe, you know them. They go out there, they do the meet and greet and all that. AI can't do that anytime soon. That's the thing. The thing that will make actors. I'm specific about actors because when I showed the trailer of my movie to one of my actors, yes, they should like, Stanley, that means you won't be calling me anytime soon. I said, no, that's not true. And I'm saying I'm using actors because when people go to the cinema to see movies, it's beyond the stories, beyond what's on the screen, is the experience. And that's where the African culture helps us. So in the UK, for instance, there's no real family bond. Everybody's on his own. Even your brother staying next door doesn't have the time. In Nigeria, I could wake up at 2 a.m. and decide, oh, I quickly want to go to the next town. I'll call my brother who's probably sleeping. I'm like, I'm coming to your house now to drop the kids. Or can you come to my house? And it's done. He doesn't argue with me. It's straight up. So it's the nature of each community and society that will determine how much impact AI will have. Actors in Nigeria, trust me, they are good, very good. Cinematographers will be affected, they will still keep their job, but I can assure you personally, I'm a cinematographer, I'm a writer, producer, director, cinematographer, lighting designer. I can tell you straight up, what I've managed to do is replicate every creative thing I do on my film set and find out the AI can do that. As we speak now, every create from the writing to the way I direct my actors to my light cinematography, I can replicate it with AI. But will I go all the way? No. I will reserve the difficult things. I need a drone shot from somewhere, or the guy standing in one place where I need a stunt double. Stuntmen, they are gone. Forget it. Stuntmen, they are gone, as far as I'm concerned. So if you're a stuntman, especially in Nigeria where it wasn't really popular, forget about it. You understand? People doing B rolls, they're in trouble because you can generate the B rolls. Actually, I can extend any scene now If I get to you and you're just sitting down here and I want the next thing your head to fall off from your body, I'll prompt it using your image as the image that guides the production of the video. And it will happen very realistically. And I heard what Yinka was saying. There's, as long as Google and Microsoft is involved in this AI, trust me, everything is threatened because they have the reservoir of every image, every video, every audio. And you might be using AI saying, oh, I'm using my subjective way, but your subjective use of the AI fits to a larger pool of the knowledge that AI is extracting. So you do your subjective thing, I think this is just unique to me. AI is feeding to everyone else who might want to query it the way you queried it to get your answers. You understand? So I'll stop there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Stanley. We can follow, I think Jonathan had followed up on Stanley earlier. So Jonathan, please.
I'm just going to iterate what I said before, because I'm mostly exposed to the agency space. So you're talking about creative agencies that usually render their services to larger businesses, so business to business service, a B2B service, if you will. And both locally and internationally, because I do follow larger conversations globally, I've noticed people talking about a general contraction in the space. So if you're talking about pre-production, yes, it will help you generate scripts and help you with your pitch. But what does that also mean? It means that you're no longer going to require a storyboard artist. You're no longer going to require as many copywriters. You're no longer going to require those sorts of people in the pre-production space. And then in the post-production space as well, you're not going to require as many editors or working video professionals that would require a scene that maybe a client would be happier to have automatically generated. So I've seen it in probably the last 2 years. And because I used to work for a hybrid events company here in Woodmead, lots of businesses, big businesses, whether they're in finance, whether they are in chemicals, because we've seen multinationals as well as big local companies use the space. And much of the time, the conversation and the hype around artificial intelligence was clearly there. It's probably reached a fever pitch at this point. Such to the point that I actually just got tired of just having corporates come in and just use those two letters probably like 100 times in their speech. It's so there's definitely just a general hype around artificial intelligence, especially in the corporate space. So I'm not sure if they are genuinely excited about AI in the creative space, but it is something that if you bring it up or if you render it as a service, they lose their minds. And at the same time, in the creative space, I've just seen it. It's just contracting everybody. It's contracting the agencies. People are finding less and less opportunities out there. And in relation to the larger conversation, maybe it's because of my feed on LinkedIn, but every time I scroll, there's a different there's a different professional who's based in Los Angeles who talks about all the big studios in Hollywood who are basically just laying off writers and they just require smaller crews. At the same time as, the streaming thing is also like exploding because as we've clearly witnessed, the cinema is no longer a place to go and enjoy the movies as we used to. You just pick up your remote and it's there. So I think that convergence also is something we're gonna see a much more clearer convergence of the use of AI generated content, whether you're talking about pre-production, post-production, and probably just funneling it more into the streaming space.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Move on to Karen, please. Thanks.
Yeah, Alessandro. I think just listening to Stanley and Jonathan, I come from such a different space where people spend maybe a decade to sometimes 2 decades working on a film. that's dear to their heart, and follow the real life stories of watching somebody age or get better or die. You know, you're watching it in real life. And so, and sometimes, often we're taking truth to power. And what's become more threatening to documentaries actually is how dangerous it's become to speak truth to power. And now, just listening to you guys, I'm thinking, hey, maybe we can hide ourselves as filmmakers and protect our characters a bit, so that, you know, you change your voices, change your faces, so that we can do the same sort of films. But yeah, it's just. Yeah, and I think a lot of us, we as documentary filmmakers, we don't get a lot of funding, so we have to do everything. So we are pretty much solo filmmakers. I do my own sound, I direct, and still the films get out there. So AI has just been extremely helpful in for most of us documentary filmmakers, from being able to write, and especially for the people that have it as your fourth or fifth language, English, and you're trying to apply for funding, you can have the same kind of level in a way, which helps a lot. I know a lot of people who read these documents say they miss the spelling mistakes and the fresh ideas because everything feels the same. But I do think it sort of puts everyone on a more equal level. So yeah.
Thanks for bringing up also the issue of translation, which is indeed an important part, and nobody had mentioned it yet. And we move on to David, please.
Yeah, so I don't know. I might end up sounding a little bit like a Luddite or whatever, but I think that, I think that when we just sort of accept that, cinema's dead, I think we do ourselves a disservice in some ways. Because, if you think about South Korea, where the cinema industry has, grown so massively over the past, 20 years, let's say 15 years, and the cinema industry is still so strong and powerful. So people are going to cinemas, I'm saying, and I think I think that is another human need. I think it is that place where people will want to collect. I think in some countries it's just impossible, but I think it's interesting in Nigeria that there are new cinemas being built, and Nigerian filmmakers, it seems to me, looking in from a distance, are wanting to make those kinds of films, that are big screen films with real actors, and where people can come and see people like themselves on a big screen and be in that environment together. So I think there is a kind of this problem of the single story kind of coming from a single algorithm, and we almost need to become activists, I think, as filmmakers. I think there's a certain degree of a sort of worry that we're just allowing ourselves to be sort of enveloped by this technotopia, and we're not fighting it. We're saying, almost being scared of being labeled as, old and rubbish. Probably I am, but that's what I think. And as far as my students are concerned, I think it's also, they're realizing that, yes, there is this danger that, maybe jobs are not going to be there for them, but they're also realizing if they can grasp hold of the AI tools that are available to them, and we've certainly been using them at school. We use virtual production technologies to create, the backgrounds for actors to perform in front of, whether it's theatrical or cinema. We're kind of trying to get them to use the tools as much as they can, to use Unreal Engine and create assets that they're then going to use for the virtual backgrounds and so on, right? And they're realizing that if they don't grasp hold of it, they're actually going to be the ones that might get left behind, So it's this sort of two-edged sword of, I need, as a new person coming into the industry, to understand what it is, but also understand how I can bring my own special self. It's what I keep saying to the students all the time, that one day you will have your own AI. You'll be feeding all your data sets into it, every book you ever read, every film you ever saw, everything you ever did, as much as you possibly can. And you'll be consulting yourself about yourself, you know, and it'll even be able to predict the future and help you make decisions. That kind of thing, maybe, but that's only because you are so special. You know, it's you have to find yourself before you can go out into the world. And AI can't do that for you. As other people have said, it can help you. So if you see it as that tool that can help you as an individual to grow and to actually tackle the industry and work in the industry, then it becomes more positive. But I think we do have to keep aware of those kind of, yeah, I think the ethical issues we're going to deal with later, but some of those are obviously really important, but I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. And indeed, I think that your answer connect to what Inka was saying earlier of thinking about AI as a sort of something that can help you better emphasize some aspect of your work, and I like this idea of maybe using AI to bring about your true self, the added value of your creativity. And sorry, Mungani, I realized I jumped and I didn't give you the floor. Sorry, please.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you so much. Well, I keep on being captivated by the colleagues here as they speak, because those are different perspectives to what AI is doing, from dispositioning of jobs. People are losing jobs. In fact, because I once worked on MTV Sugar Down South Season, most of the colleagues that I worked with, they were calling like, are they in available jobs? Because as independent filmmakers or contractors, it's difficult to get employment, especially now when we're at a position that we're as if we're contending or competing with tools such as AI, because the crew is indeed shrinking, and even the characters on set. You look at voiceover artists, as of late, I believe that strong challenge with the paid packages of AI. These are giving that voice, because the free version can give an accent that may not be South African, but you pay that money, you get a localized accent that kind of blends, and the audience sometimes is unable to detect, and we look at examples such as the latest release of the Netflix film Kings of Joburg. See how CGI was utilized there, and other people don't even realize, the audience at some point does not kind of comprehend the impact that AI is bringing into this field. But on the contrary, at the same time, it's like AI is indeed, for some independent filmmakers who are bold enough to grab the bull by its horn at this present moment, they're able to utilize it for story development. And as David mentioned, if they have found themselves, they know who they are, they're able to pick up this tool as if it's a gun and shoot at their target, such that they advance and in making it. So it has become a little bit complex. And in my perspective as a TV presenter, a talk show that I usually host, we have we're low budget type of shows that we do. So access to some of the state of the art AI tools are difficult for us to have access. So as far as a new filmmaker who's coming into the space, the impact hasn't really directly affected me. But as a person who's interested in understanding much about it, you get to understand from how evolution has been happening. Let's take it from the olden days when a drone was not even there. How were they shooting? And now how are we able to get that aerial shot? And from that aerial shot, how are we creating characters? So it's becoming it's a fascination that I would agree with the colleagues that at some point it is inevitable. I think Stanley's the one that mentioned that AI is in our midst. It's inevitable. So at some point we need to try and understand how we can allow it to preserve the traditional roles that have been there. I think Jonathan was speaking about some of the roles that we're losing due to AI, but however, we are also gaining other roles. There are people that are supervising these AIs. Let's say robotics on set. There are different roles that might come up as the AI is also coming into the picture, but we're also losing some. And those that we are losing are traditional critical roles that have been there as entry positions for filmmakers such as myself from Varsity. Then you're able to be an assistant editor. But now who needs an assistant editor? And an AI tool can be able to cut a three-shot set or footage that you have. there's 3 cameras, it's able to shoot and it blends, it color grades, the sound, it kind of makes it fast. So it's like you are also off to the next job instead of you getting an assistant who's going to learn from the great and be able to pass down that knowledge. So it's becoming a little bit tricky and shaky there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In a way, you already introduced somehow what is the topic of the next question. But before moving there, which will be policy, of course, and how we can also regulate this space in order to help professionals funding their space. But before moving to that, I would give again the floor to Inka to help us understanding what is specific about the impact of AI in the Nigerian industry, and in both positive and negative aspects.
Okay, so it has just sort of started. It is not major yet, yeah, but it has started. I agree with what Stanley said about the fact that the more you challenge the AI, the better it becomes. So the truth about it is, I mean, like what I said, if you can remember, is that I said for now. It's just for now, because as far as I'm concerned, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before it becomes a big issue. But then is it a big issue? Because really, it's just another industrial revolution as far as I'm concerned. And there have been many in the past. And you think it's going to be the end of the world. People will just adjust. There'll be fewer of some kinds of vocations, then there'll be more of others. And I think that there's just going to be more people prompting in the next few years than any other thing. Because the truth about it is that I like what you said is going to be the next thing, except we approach it from a moral point of view. If it's strictly a business point of view, nothing is going to happen. It is going to happen. What we're dreading is going to happen, because, I mean, think about it. Already online, I've seen really, really realistic 2-minute pieces with conversations, dialogues, and everything. So it just means that maybe 5 months from now, 6, 7 boys are going to come together in one house with their laptops and come up with a feature-length film. And then it's going to cost a fraction of what it will cost to shoot a real live action. And you think Netflix will refuse to buy it? No. At the end of the day, the present crop of actors are okay, because what's going to happen is that at least they will still have revenue for some time by licensing their images. So people will still go and watch these AI films starring RMD's image. So RMD will get paid. But a few years after that, nobody's going to care. It's not the story. Is it a good story? And the actors look good? Yes, and they'll watch. And please don't think that the audience owe you anything. They will watch anything. What's this very interesting. So I am concerned, but well, here for now, there's a lot of, we're excited because it's showing us new possibilities. People are doing a lot of stuff. We're excited. So we're still primarily at that point where we're so excited. Only a few people are thinking, what next? What is going to come after these? Many people are not realizing that the better these things get, then the less you will need some people. You start needing people less, because you can actually do most of it on your own. And then the cinematographers are not going to be working as much. Most of the crew are not working as much. Only the top actors, BAGs will be licensed. But then it also means that the guy is writing the prompts, the guy is doing the coloring and everything. The guys who have developed their AI skills will be churning out stuff. It's the guys who are doing the physical part of everything that are going to be redundant. So yeah, and I think maybe I'll just wait till you ask the next question. But let me just put this out there, because I'm really excited about it. I think it's for me, it's just so scary that even though we all sort of have an idea of how this might end, it's interesting that still the governments and the private companies are still in a race to make AI even more intelligent as it is, even though there's a possibility it's all headed in one way. So, except there's some kind of moral drive, the same kind of moral drive that made them stop cloning, because they realized that it was going to take us in a direction that will be abysmal. Except that same kind of moral drive can come into this situation. If not, I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you. You definitely introduced both next question and maybe I don't know, Oswald, what you think, but looking at the time, I think we could combine the two following questions in order to have still time for discussion, because we have people online and in the room that might want to ask questions. So please go ahead.
I agree, Alessandro, and I think maybe I'm just gonna put this question to one each from Nigeria and from South Africa. Then if we have a burning contribution, then we can maybe take another one. So it's about the policy space. I want to know in your respective countries whether there are policies in place or policies that policymakers are thinking about, that they are perhaps drafting to regulate the use of AI in your sector. But if not, perhaps as Yinka says, we don't know where we are going to end up. But I think we need to be proactive and contribute towards the initial steps, so that if policies are indeed going to be made, then they represent our concerns, our fears are taken care of, our aspirations are taken care of in those policies. So I want to get a picture from one of you from Nigeria first, and then someone from South Africa next. What is the state of affairs as far as policy making is concerned, and what would you want to see in such policies if they are not already in place? So I don't know.
Stanley, you can have
Yes.
this for Nigeria.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Right? Okay, I think for Nigeria, what gives me a bit of hope in Nigeria right now is that because we have a crop of younger people who really have experience in the creative space in some positions. You have people like Obi Asika, you have people like Baba Agba. There are a couple of people who are in some places who, they have experience and they have this idea and they are not redundant. So there is hope that they're catching up. I mean, I shared the trailer of my movie with Baba Agba today. He's in that space with government and all of that, and we had a chat about it, and it's something that they are proactive. So again, I think, but again, they will keep looking at what's happening on the global stage. Right now, as we speak, on the global stage, there's no morality involved in the evolution of AI. It's all about who's going to be the bigger player and who's going to make more money. So Google comes up with B310, China comes up with another model that has something that's a bit better than Google. So that battle will keep going on, and nobody's thinking about morality. I mean, when they started deepfake, we had all those arguments about, no, is this even okay? This has to be stopped, because the first deepfakes they made were of, I think it was Putin and Trump. But now you have fun videos from just hobbyists of Putin and world leaders saying and doing crazy stuff. I mean, I attended an AI conference in London early this year, and I mentioned, they're like, is anybody thinking about the impact of an uncontrolled creative AI space where anybody can generate anything, an image of someone, and create an opera? So I mean, let me break it down. We all know how sensitive religion is in Nigeria. If I created an AI image of someone who's upheld as a voice for Christians in Nigeria, saying something derogatory about the Muslims in the northern part of Nigeria, and I went to leak it in northern Nigeria, where, forgive me, but a lot of people there are not really educated. You get what I'm trying to say? Most of them don't even know there's something called AI. And if I did that, I've started a crazy war in Nigeria. So I'm just saying, and I asked that question, and people are like, well, right now nobody's thinking. I'm like, but you should be thinking about that. You should be thinking about. So I love the tools, I love the creativity, and all, but I'm bothered that it is just at everyone's disposal. There has to be, just the way you do like a two-factor authentication when you want to do something. There has to be some level of, I don't know what to call it, but it needs to be regulated even right now because it's getting out of hand.
Thanks, Stanley. And interesting your context-specific example, which I think makes a lot of sense. And please, someone from South Africa who feel like answering to Oswald's question? You have more than one, and we do have the time for it. Okay, Jonathan.
I'm going to speak more generally. So the first thing I'd like to establish is that there cannot be direct policy implementation and oversight over anything that is digital. The most democratized space is the digital space. We've seen things like crypto proliferating, and now content itself and the access to make stylized content with the likes of Google's VO3 it's out there. You can't really stop it. I think more policy and oversight needs to be taken to the companies that are behind this technology, the likes of Google. I actually saw a video, a documentary video on Elon Musk, because he's been left behind in the AI space. So he's created this thing called Grok, and it was actually found that in the small town of Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, in order to ramp up more power for the data centers that he built there, he actually bust in a bunch of gas turbines that were polluting the air for local residents. And it's things like that we have to be careful of. But the race itself, it's not going to slow down. The likes of DeepSeek from China, I think Stanley made mention of that model. DeepSeek is, I think it actually performs and gives better responses. I'm talking now from just general prompts. I'm not even talking about generative media. The likes of DeepSeek, that model was actually made on GPUs, graphics processing units that are actually older than the likes of what ChatGPT has. So definitely these big corporations and multinationals need to be there needs to be stringent governance, more stringent governance as to how they conduct their business, how they build their data centers, how they go about building these models. But in terms of accessibility, yeah, the only thing I can think of is probably two-factor authentication, where the different, like, I think Google has released something of that nature where it easily is able to distinguish, especially for people who can't make that distinguishment themselves, what is AI content, what is human-generated content. But another thing is we have to be cognizant about the exponential advancement of these AI models. Because last year, I never thought these media generative models like Google's VO3 would get so good, and it can give you video now with sound. So you can make something that looks almost like a short film or a documentary now just with a few prompts. I'm not even sure what the pay package is monthly for that. I think it's like a couple $100, but now for a couple $100 you can make a proper film. There's no governing that. I think
It's
the corporations,
$240 actually.
the corporations, the big multinationals, Google, Grok, whoever you're talking about, they are probably going to make a lot more money as these models get more advanced. But the infrastructure that's being built to power these models, we also have to look at the environmental impacts. How much power is a data center like Google that Google built is using? Where are they getting that power? How are they sourcing that power? Is it impacting the grid? There needs to be more taxation on that. And I'm aware of an existing case in South Africa at the moment with Google where the Competition Commission is actually taking them to court because it's found that Google is promoting more international stories from journalists abroad in the news cycle rather than utilizing stories from local journalists. And of course, Google itself, the search engine, is probably utilizing a lot more artificial intelligence in its model, in its structure, and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's a very nuanced and a very complex it's a very complex environment that we have to look at in the policy space, but I definitely look towards these big businesses that are driving this AI and are in this race for sure. They need to be taxed a lot more, and they need to be looked at a lot more closely at how they do business.
Thank you so much for your answer, Jonathan. And I think since we have roughly 15 to 20 minutes left, I would like to open the floor for discussion both from within the room in Lagos and online. We have several people connected online as well. So for people online, I think the best way is to type your question in the Q&A window of your Zoom page. And for people in Lagos, of course, you can just raise your hand and maybe come close to the microphone of the computer. I see several hands raised, so please, I ask the help of a moderator in the room to help with these. I see the person closest to the screen maybe can start. If you can come closer to the microphone, just to be sure that we can hear.
Yeah. All right.
You can
Thank
introduce
you.
yourself. Thanks.
All right. My name is Abikowi Adeyebi from Kwara State University here in Nigeria. I teach filmmaking there. Now, AI is poised to take the film industry by storm and is already doing it. So a new culture of consumption is born. So one thing I would, first thing I would ask, okay, that should go for Jonathan, that the place of ethical consideration for AI. Then Stanley, how fast is Nigeria embracing AI into the overall pipeline of the movie project? Because my own research lies in the intersection of artificial intelligence and filmmaking, and I have been finding it difficult to see how I can domesticate my research, okay, to my own home country, because most of the research material I've accessed has been from United States of America, UK, the China, and of course the Germany. So. The projection, I would like to ask, the projection of dystopia in a film like Swan Song, District 9, iRobot, and Ex Machina. So I want to ask, that might be a bit funny, how soon or how close are we to the dystopia? We know that Elon Musk and people like that, they have created something that people now go to space to spend some time and come back. Now, looking at that with the aspect of humanity, because I feel with the advent of artificial intelligence, however, making life better for us, I feel it's also creating some complex environments for us to live. Because, okay, a lot of people, let's say for instance, COVID-19 came with a lot of challenges, and the university in Nigeria had to go on 9-month lockdown because they couldn't follow the tide. We were not prepared. Okay, except university in the abroad, okay, who were able to deploy artificial intelligence properly, and they were able to go on with their study. So for this kind of conversation we are having, humanity, so to say, the crux of my argument, my own view to this kind of conversation will actually be that the interaction, the relationship between man and machine. How are we going to find meeting point, the convergence that the two entity can actually cohabitate seamlessly without problem?
Thank you so much. I suggest that we take all the questions from the room, and then we do a round of the table, and whoever answer whatever
Yes.
feels like. So we take a second question, and I will ask you please to be concise so that we can have more time for answers.
Yeah.
All right. My name is Dr. Kichuku Onwebu from Department of Mass Communication, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I'm so much interested in this topic because one of my research interests is artificial intelligence and digital communication. So the first question, which I think has been addressed somehow, was if you people think that artificial intelligence will take over the film making or film production in Nigeria completely, looking at it in the local content, because I don't think it's something that will happen even in 10 years coming, due to the way we behave, just as Stanley later pointed out, that in Nigeria, it will rather create opportunities for people, something like that pre-production aspect of it. It will rather create opportunity for people to start specializing into prompt creation of so aspect of the pre-production aspect of it. So I want to know, do you think that artificial intelligence will actually take over the whole pre-production aspect of filmmaking? Then the second one, which my colleague just asked, was I wanted to know the ethical consideration, if Nigerian filmmakers are actually taking cognizance of the ethical consideration of AI in filmmaking, because we know we in journalism and the communication scholars who have what is called ethical use of AI in writing or in production of work. So we want to know if Nigerians filmmakers are adhering to it. If not, what do you think they should do to showcase that they are to adhere to it very well? Then again, when Stanley was talking, speaking, he also talked about, he gave a kind of way that if Nigerians or experts in Nigeria come together to produce AI bots or whatever, the model, that there is no how one person, a personality, can use the idea, a personality idea can overwhelm the activity. So I want to know, or I want to ask him or suggest, don't you think it is right, or it will be nice for Africans, especially those in Nigeria, filmmakers and the developers, to think out the box towards producing AI model that can help to dispute all the bias we used to notice in AI, in AI use in filmmaking? Because like we in writing, we in journalism, for instance, we have discovered that AI cannot give you exact exact word. If you are your pronunciation, based on pronunciation, AI cannot give you exactly what you want. So we want to know.
Thank you very much for that question. I think there's quite a mouthful there. I hope
it was the last question in the room, I think.
Yes, maybe let's take the last one. Please,
good afternoon.
keep
I'm
it very
Labelle.
concise.
Yes, please. Good afternoon. I'm Labelle from the University of Ibadan, Cultural and Media Studies. What I would like to find out is what is the place of data protection, authentication, and intellectual property as it relates to AI and the film industry? Thank you. That's all I want to know.
Thank you. Clear and concise. So I guess it's open for everyone. Whoever wants to start. There were some questions more specifically about Nigeria, but I think that they can also be addressed in relation to South Africa. Please.
And if we also can be concise, whoever gets the mic first, because we are only left with 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, I can summarize a couple of things. When you're talking about the protection, some of the things that are not allowed, like AI, even with Google View, you can't generate images with nudity, sex, images of children, and all of that. So some of those restrictions are there. I think they need to put more. You understand? Talking about ethical considerations for Nigerian filmmakers, Nigerian filmmakers are not using AI to make film yet. I have made an AI film. I've shared the trailer there. This is what I've been doing for a couple of them. That's why I said we need to be proactive. And the reason why I embarked on that journey was to make something and at least let the world know that we're not left behind. But the end goal is not to replace the entire process with AI, but only the necessary aspects of the filmmaking. I know you also talked about 10 years before a full AI movie is made. That's not happening. I've already made the full AI movie. I've shared the trailer there. So it's not in the future anymore. And imagine what will happen in the next 5 months, because that's how fast AI moves. How man and machine can coexist. The tools have to be created in such a way that man remains in control. Man remains the puppeteer, and the tool remains the puppet. Otherwise, the tool will supersede man because it has so much knowledge, more than any of us has in our head at the same point in time. You talked about how to embrace AI in the existing pipeline. Again, it takes me back to the point. You need to take the lead. Once that happens in Nigeria, someone needs to take the lead. Someone needs to do it. What Nigeria is good at, someone does something, everybody sees it's possible, then everybody goes and does it, which is the reason why I went ahead to make a movie. So can get more people to see this tool is available. Let's express ourselves really as much as we can while we can. And I hope that answers some of the questions that were asked.
Thank you, Stanley. Someone else want to jump in?
I think one of the questions on ethical use was directed to Jonathan. And you look like you were about to say something, Jonathan, so you might as well.
The ethical use of AI. Well, I think I pretty much painted the picture that when it comes to the corporations behind or in the race of AI, I'm sure ethics, we can all agree ethics has been thrown out the window. But ethical use of AI in the private citizen space it's pretty hard to regulate without sanctioning full surveillance, which I'm sure, as we all know, thanks to Edward Snowden, is happening already. Entities like the National Security Agency of the United States is probably spying on us. The ethical use of AI, it really it's such a broad term. Is someone using artificial intelligence to create media that's educating, inspiring, or bringing to light certain aspects of our society that need to be spoken about more? That's ethical use. But then again, we have what's called deep fakes, and we could have videos that are generated by nefarious people that could, falsely depict political leaders, declaring things that they've never said. Maybe next week it could be a deep fake of Trump announcing, like, yes, we're going into Iran right now. So there's all those sorts of things to consider. I'd also like to answer the question about how mankind can actually live side by side with AI. So there's an important thing to note right now is that we are in the generative space of AI. We need to prompt AI in order to produce something, whether it's a written text or an image. The race in artificial intelligence now and the holy grail is what we call general intelligence. And that's when AI achieves what we call singularity. That's when artificial intelligence becomes self-aware. And actually nobody knows what is going to happen when that point is reached. All of these big data centers with these massive GPUs from Nvidia that Amazon, Microsoft, they're all buying up these GPUs and it is a race. Even they don't know what's going to happen once that point of singularity is reached. It could be the same depiction in the animatrix, which is that animated form of the matrix that says, yes, the machines become sentient and they realize that, the society that we've built as mankind has become so degraded. And then they just decide, no, we're going to start our own society. Anything of that nature is possible. And I've always found that, life always imitates art, and the predictive fabric of that notion has always been Hollywood, especially in the sci-fi space. Every sci-fi movie that I've watched, it's like 5, 10 years later, it's like, oh yes, we're here now. So we have to be very cognizant of how exponentially fast artificial intelligence is moving. Like how good prompt responses have become, how good generative media has become. I'm sure Google VO4 is probably going to look ultra realistic to the point where even I can't even tell. So there's lots to consider there. But in terms of man living side by side with AI, Look, philosophers and ethical professors they've always been at the forefront, and they've been employed by all these corporations to build in, ethical frameworks for these AI models. But once AI reaches a point of sentience, I can't even tell. It kind of scares me, actually.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There was Mungani, I think he raised his hand.
Yes. In conclusion, there was a question around question/suggestion about the utilization of us as African people coding our own AI. I believe there's a question there. So in my response to that one, I think it's one of my biggest interests to say, while filmmakers are also interested in utilizing this tool, which is called AI, we also need to understand the coding backend. Maybe our engineers should be focused on creating a tool that is for Africans by Africans, so that we shape the narrative of how the world sees us. Because at this point, we are chasing the consumption of the Western media, the Western technologies. By the time we master that, they've moved to another layer whereby we'll always be at the back end, while we are not playing a pivotal role in shaping who we are and what we are. So I believe that we need to partake in the raw material, the raw production of things. We need to be also there and be concerned, who did this and where's this data coming from? Is it accurately representing the people, or it is just like general knowledge which doesn't carry that cultural richness or the authenticity of the African people? So I believe, yes, we do need to create our own that serves our own to the world. So it's from Africa to the world, such that we shape the narrative of who we are.
Thank you. David,
Yeah, I
please.
just want to follow up on that as well, because I think, we could just leave it. We could just decide, okay, let this AI come in. What we're really then doing is letting what what Donald Trump was doing with Elon Musk is like letting him into his cabinet, letting him control government, letting him control a country. Is that what we actually want to happen in our countries? Probably not. So what I say, we have to become activists almost, because I think that our governments do need to get involved. I think it's a myth that the free market economy exists perfectly in the US, because they have actually all these incentives and programs to promote filmmakers and for the making of films in America. It's not a laissez-faire system at all. But we tend to believe that it is, and then no, we must just leave the market to settle everything. No, governments need to get involved. And I think those governments that have got involved, like I always use the example of South Korea, but there are other countries as well, have got involved in the filmmaking space and have, countered and have said, no, we don't just want to allow Netflix in. No, we want to give a space to promote our own streaming companies first, and then, I think in Nigeria it's a similar attitude, and I think that's really important. I think I don't suppose in South Africa or in Nigeria, but maybe together there's a possibility to create an AI that is more focused on Africa. But in the meantime, I think that these big organizations like Netflix need to know, and we need to pressurize our governments to not only tax and find a way to limit their influence, but I think even on organizations like Netflix, because I think sometimes the lack of jobs and opportunities is not just because of AI. It might be, I'm sure it is, but it's also because we're all making the one film for Netflix, and we're all turning on our TVs and seeing 150 channels on DSTV, another 2,000 pieces of content on Netflix. And I promise you, I think we all agree. I asked my students, they all agree, it's just all looking the same. And I just don't feel we want to go into that kind of world of all looking the same as an American, or like Donald Trump or Elon Musk. So I think some sort of protectionism, some sort of tax, some sort of attitude of what can we do for ourselves, I think is really important here. I think AI is probably, because the way that it's been constructed and the way the world's been constructed for the last 20 years, I think, as Karen said earlier, is going to be racist, going to be sexist, going to be all these things, is also going to rely on the fact that, for my students, we're having to train them in how to prompt, because they're using often a third or English is their third or, second or third or fourth language, They're having to learn how to use AI in that way, but also, um, I think it's also for us to sort of push the idea you know, yeah, I've forgotten what I was going to say next. I see somebody else has got a hand up. Let me leave it there, Yeah. But it's that sort of focus on English. I was going to say that AI will even think that some people are more stupid. There were tests done recently, actually, a study done recently. It was published in Nature that I saw recently, where AI was actually reacting to the way that the prompt was given to think that that person wasn't, when Jonathan's talking about when it becomes sentient, thinking this person isn't clever because they're speaking in like a pidgin English, and therefore not relating in the same way as they do to somebody who relates in the perfect Queen's English. I mean, what is that?
Thank you so much, David. Unfortunately, our time is up. Maybe Stanley just wanted to say you have 30 seconds for
30 seconds. What I just want to say is that the good thing we can do with AI is, I know for so many years we're pursuing a co-production between Nigeria and South Africa. If we catch up with AI, that co-production can happen because now, but the borders or the boundaries aren't there anymore. We can work on the same story with characters that we share with each other across borders. So we can actually enact a co-production along these lines now. Thanks.
All right, thanks. It's a good note to end on. But I really thank you very, very much. It was extremely interesting. And I mean, of course, it's a huge topic. We could have spent the entire afternoon talking about it. But I'm really glad that we had this opportunity. As we mentioned, we might get back to you. We transcribe our exchanges and see if this can take the shape of a publication because it's an ongoing debate that raised a lot of interest. So. Anyway, thank you so much to all of you online and in Lagos, and take care. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.